the Calling All Heroes Comics podcast. I am George, and today I'm joined by...
A Screechy Walls.
and...
Kramer.
And...
Tim.
It's the original, the Final Four, the Fantastic Four, the Frightful Four. The original run.
Yeah.
And we've been gone for about a month, but now we have returned. Hold your applause. And we have...
Stronger than ever.
We have some questions. I was looking at your
like
shirt.
That? You like that?
Yeah, it was customer support, superheroes every day.
I wore my superhero shirt just for you.
Nice. I wore...
But you guys can't see that.
In a twist of shameless self-promotion, I wore my shirt with my own face on it.
Shirt with your face.
Autographed on the back.
Autographed on the back.
Nice.
Just in case I'm not facing you, that way
Is that the limited edition?
I like people to stop me from behind and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Just as much as when they see me face
What's
to face.
going on with that?
That's funny.
All right, well, we got the first minute down, so let's move on.
Yeah.
What's
Nowhere to
going on,
go
guys?
about. Nowhere to go
In the
about.
last month.
Lots of things. I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
comic-wise, tons of
FF showed back up,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
which is cool.
Yeah, I was happy with it.
the whole symbiotic universe is being...
Yeah, Venom.
Augmented
going
upon.
on. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
hugely.
Unfortunate deaths of comic people. I have to touch upon that.
Yeah, yeah.
Comic people, creators,
Yes.
icons.
Yeah, I think the last time we had a conversation here was Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
Am I
Russ
right?
Heath has passed away.
And Marie Severin.
Really?
Did
I didn't
she?
hear that. Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
just-
I had the big green. You guys know Hulk 105, and that T-shirt on last night when I was singing.
Is that right?
Yeah, you know the one where he's coming up out of the
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, she did that Rhino cover 104 too.
Yeah, 106.
Yeah.
That's 106, isn't it?
Yeah, she had a stroke
Degree.
like a week or so ago,
Oh.
and then just passed away complications. Yeah.
You guys,
She's a Marvel legend.
somebody want to just give a quick rundown to those that are listening that don't know who we're
Marie Severin pretty much started off in the 50s, like
Yeah.
Mad Magazine. She was a colorist.
Husband John
She
was
was
very...
she was a colorist.
Yeah, she's more known for her coloring,
Yeah.
but she did do some original art.
She did some pretty amazing covers.
The monster, like the monster reprints in the 70s that were my first books, were based on the Kirby Ditko covers and stuff from the 60s. But she did a lot of those, redos of those. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's like probably one of the first people, cover-wise, or at least one of the original ones that I was exposed to.
Memories, yeah, first memories.
And she was a huge part of the bullpen.
She did a lot of
the 60s
comedy
really.
stuff too, like Not Brand Eck and
Yeah.
Arg, and a lot of that kind of goofy, mad stuff I like. So I was,
I think
like
she
the
was
Incredible
very,
Bulk and
very well respected by those guys. Like she was
Yeah.
like a woman amongst all the boys.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff.
yeah,
Of course,
she
she's John
was-
Severin's sister,
Yeah.
correct?
Was this? I thought. Oh, okay. Was
yeah. I
this-
think it was sister.
Okay.
I think
There
it
was a
was.
relation, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, the great John Severin from EC, and of course, he used to ink some of my favorite Herb Trimpe Hulks back in the day.
Yeah.
Real gritty look.
Oh, he did creepy and eerie stuff. It's phenomenal. Some of his stories in creepy and eerie are phenomenal.
Did some Spider Woman covers.
Did a lot of westerns.
He's good.
Yeah.
They're both talented, very extremely talented.
Did any of you guys get a chance to meet either one of them?
I have.
I've never seen him in a show.
Really?
Nope, never seen him in a show.
I don't think Marie's done, it's been quite some time, I believe, that she's
Yeah,
done shows.
I've just
probably like San Diego, I bet you.
Scoping some stuff on the internet, so it's got to be true. But saw some like pictures of her like signing some stuff.
Oh, cool.
She was older at the time, so but like you say, probably West Coast. You know.
You would think.
Yeah, all those people got to be late 80s, early 90s and stuff like Stanley is.
I think she was the last original EC person that worked in the early Mads when they were still
Wow,
comics. I
that's
think
cool.
she was like one of the last,
Yeah.
if not the last person.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, there's some books that, I thought we should definitely cover since we've been gone about a month. And it has to be special when I'm saying we need to cover it before the Fantastic Four relaunch. And that is Batman Kings of Fear. Did everybody read it?
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought, just awesome.
Yeah,
I
Kelly
saw-
Jones. It's no
He's
brainer.
running wild. He's
No
running
brainer.
wild.
He's out of control.
I liked...
Now, see, I thought it was less loose than. I was really disappointed. I'm going to share. I don't care. I was
Hit
really
me.
disappointed
Go.
with the Lobo. That Lobo.
Roadrunner, oh, yeah.
That thing. I didn't like the. There was another one he did. I think was Lobo.
Justice
was there
League.
another? Yeah, I didn't care for that either. And I think saw the Batman thing. Like he's just like all of a sudden back on it.
Well, I noticed that you were using the newsprint that Matt, we were talking about the other
Matt
day,
finished.
and he had said on Facebook, somebody had commented on that, and he said that was a condition on the deal. That he was like, I want to thank everybody at DC for following my request to please do it in the matte finish so the blacks are all black and even. And he said he didn't want the gloss pages on the series, which, DC's doing on every other title it's that glossy, page. So, like it or not, I just thought it was a cool thing that he actually said, "Hey, this is the way I want
Yeah,
this to
this
look."
is what I want to do.
Then it was a
if you want me to
throwback.
do it, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I mean, he didn't put it quite that
Right,
forcefully, but
I'm
yeah,
sure it was. Yeah.
something
It's really
like that.
funny when he first did Batman. I sort of saw him as a rebel because of the pointy ears and stuff like that, and I sort of felt like he was somewhat of an outsider there.
Yeah.
And there was a base of fans that said, "I don't like the pointy ear. I don't like that." And then there was a base of fans like us, or I'll speak for myself,
All about it.
that thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
I think he's to the point now where they know he's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still a couple haters out there, but
Well, and
I think
Oh,
we're
well.
all in the majority here.
I don't know if I
well.
specifically complained about it the last podcast, but if I didn't, I will now. Register my disgust throughout the social media universe. And I was getting ready to do it. I was going to complain about.
Nice. You're so angry you can't even prioritize. what you're
Joking
mad
on my
at.
own rage here.
Nice.
But no, I thought it was really good. I really, really liked it a lot. I thought it was cool. And I think it's really neat, too. I know we talked about it before, but the way Kelly Jones is so cool about answering us when you ask him questions and stuff.
Yeah,
that's-
it's almost like within minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
It's back and forth. That one you shared it back and forth when you said he was like on the Mount Rushmore. And,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he sent back a thing saying he was really awed by that and he really appreciated it and everything. And he's like, I really, really mean that. Thanks so much. And I was like,
He comes
Awesome.
across as a pretty down to earth, humble guy that just happens to be extremely talented.
yeah,
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. I think it's really cool.
yeah. No, I totally agree. We can move on real quick to Fantastic Four. What do you guys think? I think that was one of the questions this week. Somebody had asked about
Yep.
it.
It was. I wasn't sure how the art was going to go, and I'm still not crazy about it.
Yeah.
But story's pretty cool.
Yeah, like the art grew on me as I read the story. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
I thought she was fine outside of the torch. When
Yeah.
Johnny flamed on,
Yeah, some of that wasn't.
it's
I liked it. I mean,
which has got to be difficult to draw anyway.
yeah, but you know what? You got 40 years of other people that did it pretty good. You can look at. I don't know.
Couldn't take away from the story. I thought the story was fantastic. I thought very touching, really cool. Like the way it brought around. I think it's going to develop some good.
Well-
He did a great job on Spider-Man though.
Yeah.
Seriously. Dan Slott did a great job on Spider-Man.
And maybe that's where it's. I don't know. The art was okay by the end, is because it was still the thing. Like when I opened it, I'm like, I hate this. It's almost manga feeling with the way they drew him. She drew him, but the character comes through so well that
Yes.
you're.
Yeah, I
don't
think it's a
know.
wait and see type of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was a short story, it was an abbreviated story because of the one in the back.
Yeah.
So
Which was
I'm
very
just
good.
I'm just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, the Doom story was really cool
of
too.
course,
That was a nice added bonus.
we're flooded with the 9 billion covers and.
Well, that was a question.
So
too.
the Art Adams, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh, the
Cover.
Oh yeah, the one person said question about the
Variants.
variant. Well, the theme that they run like Hulk through
Yeah.
one whole month and
Yeah.
Venom stuff.
And to me, it's just I've been picking and choosing. Some of them
Right.
are cool, and some of them I could care less about.
Yeah, well, like you
some of them
say.
are on books that Hulk is on there and has nothing to do with the story, but I got it anyway.
Right.
So I'm not offended by it. I just sort of pick and choose.
Am I tired of it? No, because there's some cool covers.
The thing about it is it's cool. It's issue 4 of something, or 5, whatever, and you have the the standard cover, and you have that. Some of them are like, but other times you're like, that'd be cool just to throw that one in there because it's a neat cover.
Yeah, well, I got Dale Ken Amazing Spider-Man cover. I was like, I gotta have that.
Yeah,
You know,
that
it's
was
like
really
that.
cool.
Yeah,
With the rat,
Yeah.
and the Hulk.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yep.
The new Wolverine miniseries. That's what seems like the last in a billion different lines of finding Wolverine. But I think it's called Deadlines or Dead Ends or something. But Keown did that cover, and I was just like, man, incredibly uninspired. It's just so not him. I was like, what's...
Did you guys see that Kyle Holtz Carnage cover he's working on?
Oh, the new one.
It's
the
in
new previews.
it's in the back of a comic. It's the last page of. I just was reading something. It's the very last page.
It's in the
pretty
previews.
Oh, that Venom.
Yeah, but he's only doing the cover.
Yeah,
And
The Venom book, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah,
That was a
didn't pick it
cool
up.
story.
I didn't dig it at all.
Van
The Holtz cover.
Oh,
I was
really?
like, because I
Well,
see him
Carnage, I thought
posting
it was
stuff.
pretty cool.
I see him posting stuff all the time, and it always has like those commissions he's doing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They always have so much just emotion in them and different textures, and that had none of that. It was it was almost like a solid red over what he had done. Maybe the color took away from it a little bit, but when I heard he was doing that, I thought, man, this is going to be really neat. And it didn't have much feel to me at all. It felt very kind of stiff compared to the stuff he's posting all the time.
Like a cover splash page.
Yeah, as we're looking at original
interior
pages.
stuff might be. The interior
Original
stuff might be
pages
better,
right here.
You know.
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. I see what you're saying, but like I think the inside work will probably be less static and stuff like that. And, you know, a lot more movement. So
sure. Yeah, but I don't think he's doing
He's
it.
not
Is he?
doing the guy.
he's just doing the cover.
He's just doing the cover, and like the cover itself, I'm like, yeah.
Oh, Venom. First couple issues. Wow.
Stegman? Is it? Stegman?
Yeah.
Ryan Stegman.
Is it Donnie Cates?
Yeah, Cates and Stegman.
Wow.
Might be the
That's
best.
just open. He's doing the Alan Moore thing, a Swamp Thing. He's just opening up everything.
Might be the best book Marvel's running right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Venom
probably
all of
know
a
it.
sudden is a whole big universe, and he's rewritten everything about it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Or just added to it. Should I
Yeah,
say,
that's what I say.
It's what I always argue. We don't need a blah blah. A dog Venom in this Venom. Just expand upon it, and it's oh man.
But
it's so cool.
nothing. It doesn't change the fact that Spider-Man.
But it
also,
explains it.
Yeah.
We're just seeing where it
doesn't.
came
It
from.
doesn't.
They're not rewriting history; they're just
Right.
like illuminating more of it.
Oh, it expands
Right.
on expands on what they're about.
Yeah, what a
How
symbiote
they
is.
came
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Period.
And- Yeah, super cool.
I would recommend the V-Nam thing too because it's really the big dragon, of course. That
Hey,
they Shield discovered that thing. I mean, there's a lot of cool history.
When they're going to find a way to illuminate those origins that are mysterious and it be a good thing, that's great because they screwed up with Darth Vader and Boba Fett and a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't even care for the Wolverine origins where they kind of tell you it's like we don't need to know how Wolverine got here. Let's just play with it. Maybe
I think Hidden Gem that came out like 2 weeks ago is the Spectacular Spider-Man with the Sandman in it. Chris Bacala's doing.
Oh,
Did you read that story?
Oh,
That was pretty.
Bacalo, yeah.
I'm really interested to see where that goes. I've suggested a couple different people. It's like,
well, I'll tell you, it was
gotta
the
read
cover
this.
of the week.
Huh?
It was
Wasn't
the cover of the
As soon as I
week.
saw the cover and noticed Bacala, I'm like, I'm going to read this regardless.
Yeah.
And the Sandman, I've always had a soft spot for.
Yeah, me too.
And the story in there with Peter Parker and the Sandman, or Spider-Man, should I say?
Yeah.
Really cool.
I know you're not a big Mignola fan I'm sorry, not Mignola, Mike Allred fan when it comes to superhero stuff. But did you guys, anybody read the annual for Spectacular Spider-Man?
Yeah.
With J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really, really good. I mean, and it had a, I don't remember his name, Madman, Allred. Allred has, to me, almost like a 60s flavor to those books. And I don't know, it was, every panel was just all him, and
I
I
think
thought
he's
it was
super
great.
talented. I just don't like him on superheroes.
With Jay Jenna and stuff.
Yeah, that was a great
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you get a chance to check that out, it's definitely worth reading.
I'll tell you what I was surprised about. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was really surprised this week. Was it this week or last week? What book snuck up on me was the Punisher. That Kudransky did the art, and he worked on some Spawn stuff a while back. I didn't even know he did that. I was like, that looks neat. And I picked it up. I'm like, wow. And his stuff,
Yeah, he's a good artist.
it's not as gritty and like over the top as his Spawn stuff was, but the Punisher stuff is like a lot tighter. And
I like
there was
him.
some really cool splash pages, and I have maybe 10 Punisher books, and I'm like, as long as he's on it, I'm going to buy it.
Well,
He was good on
Good for
Spawn.
you.
He was really good on Spawn, I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the
The current
Alexander
guy.
right
Yeah.
now. Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
but no, that's once again I've said it before. Todd has seemed to be able to employ a nice run of different styles
talented
and good
folks.
and very talented artists on that
Yeah.
book.
Yeah.
And now that I'm glad to see that they move on to other things. And that's really cool. I'll have to look at that because I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah.
Because I like his work.
Going to need you to take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at it.
let's just look at it.
There we go.
How about that big first question?
Which
You
one? Do
guys
we dig
really,
chicks?
Do you guys really? No.
Oh,
They assume we do.
Well,
After comics.
chicks dig us.
Yeah.
And that would
It's a
be
shagging wagon.
It says, do you guys get along
all right.
Do we
off
get along?
the air as well as you do on the air?
How couldn't we?
I had said no. We just do this for the money.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's a cash
this
grab.
is not a reality show. We weren't hired to.
This is our reality. I'm telling you.
As the owner of the comic store, I can ensure you that no one is being compensated in any way.
Because it says about what disagreements do you guys have in the world of comics? I think it's all slight. There's certain stuff that Tim reads or Walls reads it, George reads it. It's not my cup.
I just think it would be really weird if we didn't have, like, we all have our little niche guys. Some of those cross over.
Yeah,
you know, you and I share a lot of artists that we really think are cool, as we do, as you do. I mean, but I think also we have our own little pockets, but it's no big deal. You know, we try to say, hey, check this guy out. You know, I mean, this is pretty cool.
Yep.
But I think our vision probably is there's a lot of similarities.
I'd say our biggest riff would be that if Mike Allred's drawing a superhero book, I'm going to buy it because of that, and you might not buy it because of that.
That's definitely a departure.
I'll tell you what, if I can spin off of that question.
No, you can't.
We're all, you know, in we'll just say our 40s and 50s, and there's other things that come up, like you have other priorities. But there was a time when this was the top priority, and maybe feelings were like the fervor reached a pitch. You know what I mean? Like I know with my friends when I was in middle school, we could get in legit arguments about this or that. Do you guys remember anything that you held really strongly back in the day that you would, you know, fight to the death for?
And you couldn't understand, like, you really loved something, say you liked a particular artist or whatever. And if someone wasn't following that, you couldn't understand why. How could they not possibly?
You wanted
see
to ram it down
things
your
throat?
way. We need you to look at it. Come on, check it out.
Are you serious? I can't believe you don't think that way. Now I really don't care. I mean,
right,
I like
sure.
sharing that stuff with people. But I'm like, if I like it, I like it.
I remember me and Doug and Dave being to the point where I was a Fantastic Four guy and they were all about X-Men. When Jim Lee X-Men came out, we were freshmen in high school, and I can remember
everybody
just being
lost
like,
their mind.
Just get away from me. Like, I'm not even going to talk to you right now. I can't even make eye contact with you right now.
You nailed it. Nailed it, Chuck.
Yeah, I think there's stuff of, well, George, obviously you saw all of our comic books and you put the three of our piles, you know, side by side.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things that I
Sure.
hold, you know. I'm a big Eric Powell fan. Everything he does, I buy. Maybe not these
The
guys.
only reason
Mike
I get
Mignola,
it is
if it's
because you
Hellboy.
turned me on to it.
I love Eric Powell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's stuff, but I mean, those, Mike and Eric are top of the heap right now for me.
Yeah.
All this other stuff that's coming out is a pleasant surprise, but I follow a lot of stuff.
I found that I've had to, like, get new favorites because a lot of my tried and true guys just don't put out a lot of stuff. I mean, and they do it special, like Corbin. When he does something, it's phenomenal, and I'm happy. But I've found I'm like, I got to find other styles that I like of people that put stuff out consistently or that are doing stuff now.
Right.
So, you know, that's something different because I used to be so beholden to certain artists and stuff like that.
Sure.
I've expanded upon that a pretty good bit.
It's like, I think with a lot of things like music, it's like, you know, you got these bands that you just love and they're not cranking anything out at all anymore, or at least not nearly as frequently, and you got to kind of be like, okay, well, if I'm going to keep moving forward.
We'll take another step. Not as good.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I think
not naming any names, Beasley, but it happens.
You know, something's funny. You mentioned music, too. I thought about this, actually, on the ride over. All of us really love music, too.
Yeah.
I mean, some of us perform music as well, but I think we all really dig music.
Yeah.
That's a strong commonality, I feel.
Well, that question's come, and you got to answer this. You got to do with, you know, the question always comes up, you know, your hearing or your sight. Obviously, for other people, it would be my hearing that would have to go first because my sight would handicap me in all kind of ways that other people would have to help me. Correct?
Right.
Comics or music, you got to do without one of them. Which one is it?
Yeah.
I'm
Hush
gonna-
from over the crowd.
I'm going to go.
I've thought about this question many times, and that's, you know, my two. And these are of course, you know, we all have kids and we all have family and stuff, so family and everything else comes first. These are hobbies that we do.
Well, man,
But
it's
I
kind of hard to
don't
read a
know.
comic book on the way to work. Music,
I'm
music gets
going-
me to and back.
Well,
from
music,
work.
you can create a comic book with music. I mean, you listen to lyrics and stuff like that.
Well,
you can create a story.
You can I think you can also create an atmosphere with music, and you can share it with other people.
Yeah.
So one thing about this hobby is outside of what we're doing right now, it's a very solitary hobby. I'm not going to sit and flip the pages with you together and read it.
Yeah,
you know?
but I'm the same way.
Not like a knitting circle.
I'm a pretty easygoing guy. You come in there and say, Kramer, what the hell's that? That sucks. And I'm listening to one of my favorite bands.
Sure.
My blood pressure goes up like 20 points, like right now. And I'm out of my seat because I think that music is shared in groups. I just, you know, I just went to a concert myself.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, for me, it's an individual thing. I guarantee we go around here, and I know what a Genesis fan you are.
Yeah.
I like the surface Genesis, what I hear on the radio.
Right.
I don't go deep at all, when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Sure.
I think all of us, music-wise, he gets into some stuff. We have a lot of common stuff. Tim and I have some common stuff, but it's the same as comic books. You bring my favorite 10 CDs here, and we stack them up, all 4 of us together, and comic books, and you're going to see some similarities.
So are you saying we can't read comics anymore, or we can't own them?
Yeah, you just do without
delete them.
Totally.
Deletion.
They're gone.
Total deletion. I mean, if I get to remove the financial strain that I would have from that, like if we're not counting that,
No, you can't read comic books anymore.
Can't read them. I'm going to go with that just because there's more music that I need to hear again in my life than there are comic books that I need to read again in my life.
I'm going to have to go with music because of just like everything that it means.
Yeah.
Emotions, feelings, shared experiences.
Times of
whatever.
your life,
Yeah,
experiences.
I can't,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
People probably find this hard to believe because I think we all probably feel music. I don't know. You haven't weighed in.
Music would probably edge it out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm there.
Because it can change my mood. Yeah.
And the thing that too,
I
is
knew
you can,
music before comic books.
Yeah, and you can
I come
do
from
stuff-
A family that loved music. I mean, my satellite family seemed to like music. You know,
and you can do
first
things
experiences.
while you're enjoying music. You can't. I mean, with a comic book, that's what you're doing.
But the reason why I always put forth that music is an individual sport is from the fact that if we all we're all sitting here and we're listening to the same album, we're going to have different opinions, and it's the same with comic books. Comic books, like I said, we can talk about it. We're here as a group talking about it, but 3 of us can say the new FF was great, and 1 of us can sit there and say it didn't work for me at all.
Right.
So it's just about everything that we all do, whether it be going to a convention. I think it's when I go to a convention, and Walls goes, and you guys go, it's all individual.
Yeah.
We even go in and say, hey, buddy, we'll meet at 1.
See ya.
And we'll see it.
Yeah.
So there again, my individual journey starts.
Yeah.
And what I get and what I buy at the convention is going to be different from you guys.
Sure.
But
So
you
like I
know
said,
what?
we're doing it as a group. Yeah. We go to the concert and there's 24,000 people there, to see ELO.
Everybody.
We're
my
sharing the
experience when I
experience
come out,
separately.
Right. We fill out a survey at the end. Did you like it? Oh, I didn't like it. They played the wrong songs. They didn't play this. They did this. They were too loud. They were blah, blah, blah. And beer was too expensive,
Yeah.
So it's an individual thing, and I've
But
always understood
the
that.
cool thing is that every now and then, like we meet and you got like hey, look what I got.
Yeah.
I like that. Hey, while you were over there getting, signatures, Walls, I was going over here. Or you're like, hey, I remember you said you needed us. Look, I found us.
On the way back, we're fighting. We're fighting for airspace to talk.
Yeah.
Hey, look what I got. Hey, look what I got.
Hey,
Look what I got.
yeah.
And
It's fun.
And you can feel the enthusiasm.
Well, and that goes back to the heart of this whole what it's all about. The hobby is like that. It's like a
Right.
childlike enthusiasm, and you can only get it. That's what's so great about Comic-Con.
But thank goodness, I don't have to give up comics or music.
We don't have to
Yeah.
make that choice.
Yeah.
At least not yet, huh?
America.
Well,
You're talking about concerts and stuff and how everybody has their reaction and experience. It took me 23 years to finally see Pearl Jam. And
Yeah.
when I finally saw it, it was everything I thought. It was like almost, dare I say, it was a religious experience.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And I went to see it with my daughter, and it just couldn't have been any better.
That's awesome.
And then I'm sure she had a different. Everybody has their different view, but her experience is because she's been bathed in it her whole life, literally.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, she was in diapers jamming out to it. So, and she still is not in diapers jamming out.
That's where I'm at. Where
No, her kids are.
Yeah,
My-
the kids are in
Really,
diapers.
it's a good
Well,
clarification.
my dad was a huge Genesis fan, obviously, and saw every tour since they got here in '72. He's been to every single show, and so as soon as I was cognizant of music,
That was it.
That's
Sure.
it. Just completely in it. Well, I listen to it all the time, so my daughters could care less, but my son is all about it,
Jamming.
and it brings it right up to October. Phil's coming out. I mean, he's confined to a chair. He can't even stand up anymore. But he's doing a tour appropriately titled "Not Dead Yet," and he's doing the show in D.C. and it's like $300 a seat, but at the same time, it's like this. I know this is the last chance, and it's like.
Yeah.
Is he going to get to see him? Before, I mean, it's that big of a deal. It's not just like, oh, you want to go see the show. It's like
Right.
kind of a birthright in a way. Like I got to go to that show and get him there and let him see it.
I've got an interesting story. I like all kinds of music. Different, but the Grateful Dead have always been like a little part of my heart. They've always been, I've spent a lot of time going to see them in their what I would consider part of their heyday. But when we saw them, my wife and I saw them at RFK in '91, and she was 8 months pregnant with Olivia then. And it was really cool this past November, my birthday. I got to see Dead and Company with her as an adult.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And they opened up the second set with the same series of songs as they did the second set
Back
of
in the
RFK
day.
when she was
that's awesome.
inside my wife. And it was just, I mean, like you said, you can't.
Epic.
You can't. That's an experience.
You can't manufacture
like
that.
it or not. That's just one of those things. That's just life at its coolest, as far as I'm concerned. But those kind of things are so neat. I think what fuels our passion too. I think that's why we get into this so much. That what we share here on these podcasts, we're not getting paid. We love this stuff that much. I mean, we really do.
Yeah.
I mean,
we
care
have
about
our disagreements. Everybody's individual. It'd be pretty boring if everyone was the same.
If we all like the same thing, it'd be awful. Actually,
Well, and to roll
Yeah, but I don't think it means too much that we would actually walk out of here mad at each other.
No.
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
But seventh grade, us,
sixth grade,
that-
We'd be duking it out. We'd be rolling around with gravel or something.
I think I've known you the longest. I think Kramer and I think we go back, and then it's Walls, and then George and I. But of all the things we've ever talked about, I don't think we've ever had thrown down the fisticuffs over stuff like that. Any kind of
If we all
Hulk versus thing.
We all like the whole, like every same book, and it'd be like we'd be skipping out on a lot of books. There'd be a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, while we're talking, maybe I'll do something here to alleviate all that noise.
We did have a question. It says, listener, I wrote a poem about Batman. I'm self-conscious about to share it with you, but I'm a dedicated fan. How about this? You send it to us, we'll read it on air. How about that?
Yeah.
That should relieve your self-consciousness.
Yeah, you don't have to read it. We'll read it for you.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
I'm never
Send
worried
it
about embarrassing myself.
Send it in.
Yeah, send it in. Why not?
Here's one. What are your favorite toys from yesteryear?
Hey.
Walls
I'm
has
showing my age, but my 12-inch G.I. Joe dolls are my favorite. Interesting to hear what you think. What do you guys got?
I like to call them action figures. I'm going with my original Mego collection. Mego. Potato. I had them all. I had every one of them.
I went to Brian Pillman was a wrestler in WWF and WCW, and when he passed away, WWF kind of helped sponsor this memorial show for him in Cincinnati, and they sent a bunch of WWF guys there for what was essentially a show smaller than one that I would run. And we went to Cincinnati to the show and went and everything, and all the guys are lined up, and I had this action figure for Edge and Christian, and I come walking in and I handed it to Edge, and I was like, yeah, if you wouldn't mind signing that. And Christian standing there like, dude, you collect dolls, huh? Where's my doll? So you just have his doll. It's just one dude's doll. I guess that's gonna. Okay. It was just like, oh, thanks. I mean, he was completely joking, but it was really, really cool. Yeah. But Masters of the Universe. End of the day, that was my jam.
That's your jam.
1983. Yeah.
Well, it is up by the cash register.
My first thing was, and saying that up by the cash register, in 1967, Topps put out these things, these Topps Uglies, these there were stickers, and some were created by Basil Wolverton, who we talk about a lot.
Yep.
And Norman Sanders did a bunch of them. Wally Wood did some of them as well. But they took the images and created little rubber creatures from the images. And they used to sit on a box like at McCroy's and dime stores and stuff up front. They were done. They're called Rubber Uglies from the 60s. That was one of the first things I remember collecting. I still have a collection of them. They're like on eBay. To get originals on eBay, they're super crazy now. They're nuts. But they're really neat. They're all different colors and different. They took about maybe 15, 20 of the different images from the cards and made them into these. They're cool.
That's
Anything
cool.
with like heat too, goop, like Mattel stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
And these strange shade things.
Yeah, creepy crawlies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I liked all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kramer, what about you?
Major Matt Mason was something. If you guys remember, back when they landed on the moon, there was a figure. They were rubber with the wire in them to pose them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They were rubber. Of course, they would break and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Bendables.
yeah, that was one of my favorites. Yeah, you don't remember that?
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Mattel put them out.
Yeah.
But
Did you
It's all
find,
about
like, was with you and Dean? I know Jake and I had the benefit of Jake's birthday was in November and mine was in January. So, like, when Masters of the Universe came around, if he got something, like, obviously I benefited. Then Christmas hits and we get, like, whatever, let's say Castle Grayskull. Then my birthday hits and I get a couple figures and we, like, amassed it. Did you find that you guys were...
Dean and I were pretty, we had collections together. And still to this day, we have a KISS collection.
Nice.
That he has in his possession. That anything I get, we just add to it.
Right.
He keeps it. He's the keeper of it.
The curator of the
Curator
collection.
of Kiss.
But yeah, and Hot Wheels. We're big Hot Wheels fans. Love them.
Yeah, I did too.
I have a original Red Baron that my dad found for me a long time ago. Then of course had the
Beatnik Bandit.
the Beatnik Bandit. I mean all those split image,
That's cool.
strip teaser, all those. We used to play with Hot Wheels all the time.
I was playing with
We all
Red
did.
Baron last night at my house.
Yeah, because I got the new
Busted
one.
off
Remember
wing.
they put them back out. They put them
Yeah.
repackage them or whatever the new versions, and so I have a new one of the Red Baron and the old one.
Original.
Yeah, just Hot Wheels, pretty cool. Because I grew up going to car shows, but I'm not a mechanic in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
Man, not a grease monkey. I don't even know if I can change oil, but
Just an
air in the
enthusiast.
tires about as far as I go. But I've always loved hot rods.
I mean, if you don't mind me asking, just because I know Jake and I we were, other than wrestling, we did all that stuff, but like when it came to this stuff, we were polar opposites. Were you and Dean always into comics kind of together, or did you get into it first?
Yeah, me so much, and then of course we found music when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
I was about 15, 16, and then Dean actually started out on drums, and I started out on guitar, and eventually he took over guitar, and here we are today,
Cool.
40 years later. But yeah, we lived together all in the same bedroom, and being a couple of years, three and a half years separate. We pretty much collected together.
Yeah. That's cool.
I mean, our room was one big conglomerate of rock and roll and
That was
comic books and stuff.
I can
That
still
was Jake
see
and
it.
I.
Yeah, it was covered. Yeah, you're missing a whole bunch of spots here on the
On the ceiling.
on the ceiling. You have posters in the shop which you cannot see on the podcast, but yeah, our room was from
Wall to
one
wall.
end to
Yeah.
the top to the bottom.
Yeah.
I can remember the
If we
album
could-
covers, like,
Yeah,
Jake and I shared a room from the time when we were kids up until, we moved out, and it was where the attic. My dad had finished off the attic and made it like into rooms, and so it kind of had the slant on each side.
Yeah.
And I can remember like all the comic and nerd stuff going on, and they're pretty much being aligned down. I'm like, none of that crap over here.
Right.
we're both collectors, so the fact that we both love KISS and music and comics, it was pretty easy to collect
That's cool.
together.
Cody went to Dean for lessons
Mm-hmm.
for a while there when he first started playing when he was 10 years old, which, wow, that's a long time ago.
Wow.
But I can remember going in there, your mom's place,
Oh yeah.
and just be like totally blown away with this stuff. I'd be like, can I just come here and just look at your stuff while Cody learns?
Is there an admission to?
just
Yeah,
leave me
I
alone.
remember you
Just
come
let me
over,
hear.
too. And Walls has a dungeon too and stuff, but I had my man cave at the house, and
Yeah.
it was just it was like walking into a comic book
Yep.
shop or something.
Yeah.
It was just eye candy everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course, there's all the stuff that I found cool. Every once in a while, we find a little knick-knack. We all do it. We find something, you put it on. It's like, what's that thing over there? That's pretty cool.
Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't even remember where you got it and stuff.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
you pick up, as a collector, you pick up stuff along the way.
Yeah. I lost my man cave to the great evacuation of 2015. When the store opened, my wife found that to be the perfect opportunity to say, you just take it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I still have my stuff, but it's not nearly as prominent. it's
when
stashed.
we moved to our house, it was down the basement. It was like this area was like nobody seemed interested in it, and I had a little glimmer in the eye.
He glommed
There you
onto
go.
it.
Does anybody have any
Yeah.
interest in this place here? You know?
Right.
My wife was like, absolutely not. I just repainted everything, and it's got all my junk in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I have the Leasonium. So.
And I think that was always the agreement, You have your man cave. I don't want to see Spider-Man nothing in this living room.
Boom.
Or the kitchen, or the bathroom, or
Yep.
the bedroom. Nothing.
Yeah.
I
You
did
keep
sneak an
it.
Alfred E. Newman bobblehead up in the living room. He's up there, an undisclosed location.
My front room, I have an actual signed Corbin that's framed out in the front room. That's about it.
Most of my stuff's in the basement.
In our living room, we have this corner shelf thing, and it was great because when my son won his first wrestling belt, because you get to take those with you till you lose them. So it got a space on the shelf, and it was real easy to tell Rail, like, you won that. Like, this is like an achievement.
It's
so
not yours, it's
and
his.
it kind of opens up the door.
Yeah.
Well, then if you remember, you were there. We did this together. But Savannah dressed like Harley Quinn for Halloween, and Gwen dressed like Supergirl. Well, I had big framed photos of them, and those went there. And I'm like, I could bring some comics here and set them up, and some wrestling stuff here, and this would match. There's a title belt. The girls are both dressed like superheroes.
It really
like,
ties the room together.
It really does pull a theme here. What do you think? And then, and it was a bit of a struggle back and forth, nothing major. Then we're riding up. Oddly enough, it was for her birthday this year. We're heading to Pittsburgh, and we stopped at Somerset. Right when you get on the thing, I don't know if you guys saw, but they just opened this huge Goodwill shop there. And I mean, it must have been in the last 6 months. But we went in, and there was this doll. It was called Best Friend Becky.
I saw the picture.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Yeah.
Rail had that. She got that for her 4th birthday. The exact same doll. And they had it there in mint, in the box.
In the box.
Everything ready to go. I said, what does that cost? And they said, well, we were looking for $50 because that's what it looks like it's selling for on eBay. And I quickly looked up on eBay and found there was none of them in a box. They were $50, like, out of the box. And I said, one sold for, you take 30? They're like, they just got here fine. So for 30 bucks, she came out and was just beaming.
Yeah.
And I was like, guess where that's going? She went, where? I went, right here beside this wrestling belt because it all seems to match. She's like, damn it. But you're like, okay, fine. Good times.
Yeah, man.
I like it.
The questions and stuff ask us if we're always positive about things. And I had a question, if you remember, creators and characters that have either gone from nowhere to, prime time and vice versa. What creators and stuff that you guys remember at one time were everything, and now, you mentioned Beasley.
Yeah, you just said Beasley. I mean, it's
I think you probably immediately my brain goes to the celebrity status of all those image creators, and not that they're not still doing cool things, but if you're talking about like in the spotlight to out of the spotlight, like I would put Eric Larson there. That book was big, at least that was my recollection of it at the time. It was like a big deal, and he's still doing Savage Dragon, but you know what I mean? Like I went and saw him a few years back at the con, and nobody was in line. I walked right up and talked to him, and there was a time when that was a huge deal.
Well, he's been sticking to his guns and just doing Savage Dragon. He could easily come back over and do Spider-Man or anything.
Yeah.
Easily, he could come back and say, hey, Savage Dragon's Eric Larson's coming back to Marvel.
Oh, and he's honed his craft. He's done the book all those years, and he still works.
And I don't know if any guys, I know you do. And did you read Dragon still at all?
I look at it when Tim's comic comes out.
Yeah, because Savage Dragon died years ago,
right,
and it's all about
Malcolm,
his son.
Malcolm.
And it's just it's funny how he tried to play it like real time. You know what I mean? Like this is really how it's planned. Because I never got into a lot of the other image titles to see if they were all keeping pace with that as much. Because he did crossovers with like Spawn.
Spawn is, he's
That's all.
Everybody's aged somewhat appropriately, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tricky thing.
It's hard. It's better than High and Lois because Trixie's still there.
Right, or The Simpsons or anything like that. Yeah.
But,
or Peanuts, where no one ever aged ever in 50 years.
Yeah.
But I thought it's a bit of a roll of the dice. Like, I guess if you have millions of dollars, like I'm sure all those guys do, you can afford to take that creative liberty to do your own book and then kill off the main character.
I'll think of a guy, I'm going to get to see him here in Baltimore, but I'll think of a guy when he first started doing work. I just thought he looked sort of kind of like everybody else. But after looking at his run on Spawn and looking at the Court of Owls and looking at Capullo, went from being what I would call an average Joe to absolutely one of the best artists that are doing books today.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Greg Capullo, period. He looked, to me, he just looked like, I'm like, okay. When he first started doing, he did, I guess, X-Force, and he was doing the Spawn stuff, first starting, I'm like, yeah. And all of a sudden, I'm like,
a lot of speed lines going on, a lot of
all of a sudden, Spawn started evolving, in the 50s and 60s, 70s, all the way to 100, and as it went on, his art completely evolved. Yeah. It got tighter. It had more of his style, whatever. He created a style.
Well, those Batman you just picked up, I noticed.
How much, those are
but
unbelievable.
One thing, he looks like Michael Golden more on those covers. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that's not such a terrible thing.
No. I'm not saying it's copying or anything, but
I would like to look like Michael Golden artwork.
Well, we're talking about who's headlining, Frank Miller.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Donnie was going to say something, He said about looking back. And, of course, to me, I wasn't going to come up out of my seat because, everyone has their own opinion. But, he said going back and reading Dark Knight Returns, which I think is one of the best stories of all time. Very innovative.
Yep.
And the art is definitely different. But, Miller's doing, was it Persians or whatever it is, sort of a takeoff of the 300. That's what he's been doing.
Oh,
or Exodus.
Yeah.
Exodus, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's called. But I have absolutely no interest in Persian Greek history. None. Whatsoever. And there's Frank Miller, and he's headlining this thing, and he hasn't done anything since Sin City that I've cared about at all.
Right. Even the pinups he did in the other...
Proceed. I think there's artists come and go and stuff, but like you say, who's still climbing, who's still doing great. I mean, look where Jim Lee is. I mean, he doesn't do the stuff, the output that he had back in the 80s and 90s, but, he's more in charge of things, I guess. But, I mean, he still does some stuff. Yeah.
I wish Joe Quesada would do some stuff.
Yeah.
He's done a couple things in the new previews, in the new Marvels. He's doing a couple covers, and I've always loved his work.
Speaking of, did you guys put? I'll look at the previews. You don't get it. But did you? You have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with the Marvel stuff coming out? Was it IDW or one of those other Dynamite or something? All that Marvel stuff that they're putting out. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
What's up with
Is that
that?
the special covers, though?
No, I think it's like an actual book. Is there previews here? There's got to be previews here.
There's one right there.
Oh,
right
yeah.
there.
I want to check it out. Let's see what I'm talking about here. You readers can't see this.
Yeah.
But I'm
But I think one of the person that at one time was doing 2 or 3 different books. Well, 2 of them, George Perez and John Byrne. Now, when Byrne tried to do his X-Men stuff, it just didn't work. I mean, and like I said, it'd be a lot easier for him to come back and do.
Well, there might be a subtle disagreement. Byrne has never done anything for me ever. He's just never. It's just not been.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, right there, IDW.
He's never been my jam.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
They're putting out 3 books: Spider-Man, Avengers, and Black Panther. And they're actual books. I mean, it's like cartoony a little bit, I think. But
yes,
that's I mean, maybe more geared to the younger generation. But I mean, that's not a bad thing because you gotta you can't get from here to there without being a little kid. Yep. Owen knows who Superman and Spider-Man is already. Sure. He's all about it. He's got the action figures. He's got he's 3.5.
Yeah, but that begs the question. I didn't come in with the Hulk and stuff at a cartoony version of it. You know what I mean?
True. You came in reading comics just like all 4 of us.
Right. Sure. So I don't know if I buy into that.
Getting from there to here.
That segue. Yeah, I don't know, because there again we have the FF and stuff, and it's in that new color format, which I don't care for at all. Where there's not a whole lot. It's not black and white art that's colored. It almost looks like it's all done on computer.
Right.
And I think
that's because it probably is.
Yeah.
Right.
Computer. Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff I just don't care for, because, like I said, I don't know. I never thought that comic books had to be dumbed down to, or
True. Well, I mean, I grew up looking
words because I
looking at Gold Key and Magnus and stuff and all that stuff when I was going to my grandparents. That's the only comic books I knew. I only knew that and a couple DC books.
That's what I mean. I don't think Stanley ever.
We were just touching upon this.
Would write
What's
down
up with
to
that IDW is doing
kids,
Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
You had to come up to their level.
They're talking about like kids and like Kramer.
And same with all the sci-fi and everything that you've read. In no way, shape, or form. If you're reading Lovecraft, it still is a huge challenge for me.
Yeah.
At my age.
Yeah.
But
wrap your head around it.
Yeah, but I like it. But you don't have H.P. Lovecraft for 8-year-olds.
Yeah, for dummies.
You either come up to his
level. It was written in the early 1900s.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, but you could dumb it down and stuff. You could put out a version, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
You got to come up to their level. We're talking about writers and stuff. he was talking about this IDW Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't like that artwork at all. There again, it has that anime feel to it.
Sure.
And I know that other people and stuff really dig anime, and it's as soon as I see it's anime influenced, I'm running the other
Saves me
direction.
from
Well,
having to.
I don't want anything to do with it.
And I walk back in late here, so stop me if I'm mishearing anything. But it's like Marvel does the Marvel Superhero Adventures, and it's not for I don't dig it. It's kind of the same kind of look back there. I don't dig it either, but I think it's a good thing. Like this is to me is a good thing.
We were saying that too for kids there.
Yeah, I'm saying that. But I came in
We were
comic books.
agreeing on that.
They didn't do that for me.
Right.
They didn't need to do that for me or any of us. We came in reading at stuff that was written for adult, or not for adults, but by adults. They didn't dumb it down, and they didn't say this. They didn't say the Incredible Hulks that I started reading, in the 170s and stuff was for 8-year-olds.
We just read it.
They just put it out there.
I agree with that, and I would say that I would have a bigger problem with it if they said, now the comics that we're all enjoying, they have to dumb down because they're trying to hit other younger kids and alienate us, but they're producing something completely different. Like, this doesn't take away from what we're watching, and this is bottom-feeding the program because these kids are going to come back up to their... Like, I don't so much think of it as dumbing down any more than, like, say, Sesame Street or whatever. Marvel has a property that's worth $1 billion, and they found a way to compete with Sesame Street and Blue's Clues and Dora the Explorer and all that, and I 100% am in favor of it every step of the way because, I'm not going to read it, but I'll sell it, and the kids that are reading it, if this gets that, there's so much competition for their attention that if we just sat back and said, no, you read what I was reading, not to mention, and I'm pretty sure I can grab any book on this wall just at random, and they're going to tell you it's either parental advisory, teen plus, teen, even the Hulk or the Thing and the Torch. That is a teen book. It's not rated E for everyone or whatever that is. So I think...
Well, just based upon violence, it wouldn't get like a G rating.
Right. But...
And that's 90% of comic books.
Sure. I'm 100% with you. I just think that at the end of the day, if they're finding a way to make sure that they're getting the young kids interested in it in the first place, because in today's... at that time, there wasn't near as much competition, and now I think you have, for better or worse, you have all these like parent groups and people that are trying to oversee it.
All the electronica, that's where their attention is. It's
Right.
really nice if you're going to have their attention on something that's actually a piece of literature.
Well, here's a perfect example. Like in the early 80s, I was watching the Incredible Hulk cartoon and Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. If you come back to watch that, it's rough, but it was still how I got on board. Like, I was seeing that stuff before I was buying the comics. And I wouldn't have bought maybe I wouldn't have bought a Spider-Man comic had I not watched the cartoon.
Yeah, but I think we caught some flack and stuff whenever we were talking about Squirrel Girl and all that.
Yeah.
They were going for a different demographics than us,
Right.
50-year-old men.
Sure.
Does that make sense? Who have been reading for a long time. And I think that cartoony look that you're talking about with, going for a younger crowd, that's just not my cup of tea.
Sure.
But I think some people don't seem to understand why we don't get into,
I see what you're saying. Yeah, like if somebody doesn't understand why we don't want to read that, yeah.
Right.
I'm with you.
And we're not being tough on it. We joke about it, but it's
not our
just,
thing.
Yeah. It's
Sure.
Just, we're not past that or above that. It's just not our thing.
Well,
Yeah,
plus
no,
you
I
gotta
agree with
think-
you 100%.
Like George, to quote George at the end of the day, when we were growing up and reading stuff, there wasn't these options. These options weren't there.
Yeah.
Right.
We were just stuck with what we had,
One
and
option.
that's all we knew, and we were happy to. We were happy, damn it.
Well, my dad was telling the other day about how he watched the little Looney Tunes cartoons, and those weren't made for kids.
Oh no.
And
there was
I
a
mean,
lot.
yeah, and that's...
But I'm saying that I think they actually do cartoons that are made for kids.
Absolutely.
But like I said, we jumped on
Marvel did a bunch of them.
It didn't, it wasn't perverted. It didn't, change me as a kid and stuff.
Yeah.
I just took it for what it was.
Right.
But it's always funny because they always talk about sex and violence. But yet Roadrunner is about as violent as you can possibly get.
Per year. Yeah.
And early Tom and Jerry. Oh my goodness, Tom gets mangled in every way you can possibly die.
There wouldn't be an Itchy and Scratchy if there wasn't a
Yeah,
television.
true story.
And there again, The Simpsons and Itchy and Scratchy bring it up a whole nother level, maybe a little past what maybe an 8-year-old.
Yeah, but
should
the
see.
fire was started.
man.
They're just augmenting on it.
But there again, we jumped on there. They didn't dumb it down for us, and I don't mean to use that such a derogatory comment, but they didn't say, okay, let's don't have anything, and we'll just tap each other on the nose, with Tom and Jerry, or maybe a pillow will fall on Jerry as opposed to an anvil.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So for me, I don't see it necessary to to do it for young kids. I really don't. Because I think a kid that's going to take to a comic book the way that I did, there again, the Hulk's one of my favorite characters, and all he does is smash stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure. Well, and
So
maybe
here,
I'm wrong.
Here I am. I've never hit a person in my life in anger. So
Yeah.
It apparently doesn't have any effect.
You just do it for fun.
Well, and I'm
Yeah.
The steel pole.
I know someone's going to get hit in a minute.
Got the steel pole.
I don't know. I'm
Somebody
way too
threw a
lazy
chair
and
in
brittle for that. That's good stuff.
You
Did I
can't-
miss any other questions while you guys gone? Was that the
We
top?
were just talking about that. I brought up that IDW thing, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of rolled with it. But
No, we're talking about the
That's wild, isn't it?
creators, and you rudely walked out on us.
you did, yeah. Jeez. Just because someone was knocking at the door.
It's actually the owner of the building, the landlord.
wow.
And they talking about this truck that's parked across here. He went over and started rapping on the door and trying
And
to
of
get the
course-
guy to move.
The other side of that question would be, is there people that sometimes they're just, I don't know, what's going on in comic books is exactly what we're talking about. They can't do. George Perez at one time was doing 2 or 3 books like a madman. And now if he puts out a book, it doesn't really make a difference.
Right.
He can go back to Justice League. He can go back to the Avengers. And I don't know if his style is going to fit anymore.
Well, look at the stuff Jay Lee was putting out. Now he does like a cover once in a while. I mean, they're great. I mean, most of them are great.
Do you think a lot of that, though, comes from, I mean, we've all seen how the Comic-Cons have just blown up into huge businesses from the movies and all the stuff that's
The
going
old
on.
cash grab.
The culture. Do you think that guys like George Perez probably make more money and have less stress rolling into a Comic-Con and charging $100 for a headshot and doing 50 of them a day and over a 4-day period doing, if he sits there and draws 400 pictures and he's hitting you for $75 a hit,
Yeah, why not?
and then take the week off and do what you want,
Yeah, but I don't think as a creative person that would fulfill his needs. It's
Right.
like William Shatner going around Star Trek things. He could grab that money all the time, but I'm sure as an actor, he just wants to have another hit series.
Well, like you said with Rich Corbin, for example, it's like there's a guy. I mean, I think you can get your creative outlet and put the stuff out when you feel like it. Like if he wants to do a cover, or he wants,
financially, if you can do that, sure.
and I think Perez is probably a guy that can make decisions not based on his financial situation, but based on what he feels like doing and when he feels
Creative.
Well,
like
don't
doing
get me
it.
wrong. He probably drew more, back then than most people do in their career.
Yeah,
'Cause he was doing 2 or 3 books. And like I said, you're not a John Byrne fan, but he was on some pretty legendary books.
Oh, sure.
If he could come back and do if he came back and did the X-Men, I don't think it would be the same impact that it was.
yeah, sure.
If him and Claremont came back and did it, brought Terry Austin on board or Rubenstein to ink, and I don't think it would be nostalgic, but I don't think I could be wrong, but I don't think it had.
I don't think,
I'd agree with
I
that,
don't think
yeah.
you're wrong.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think you're wrong.
So there again, are these people's styles outdated? I guess is the question that we're coming to.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why they're not doing? Are they burnt out? Are they? I know some of these guys are getting up in age. Are their skills deteriorated? I mean,
I think that happens. It's really funny that doesn't seem to have happened to Rich now that he's 70 years old. But
no.
some of it I've seen. I look at Neil Adams and stuff, and it's just
Pipe down.
it's not very good.
Yeah, Neil Adams, obviously, at one time, not only a great artist, but very innovative in his layouts and everything. Stranko's another one. These guys are all legends, and, it's good to see them get their autographs, but, they don't do any work at all.
But there's a lot of young guns coming up too. I mean, there's a lot of good art.
Oh, sure,
books. I
legends
mean,
are
like
born every day.
like Jannon's doing that Batman stuff. That's pretty hard to ignore.
I think
Yeah.
that the
Dexter
edgier,
Sword.
I think the edgier someone is in general, the shorter of a window they're going to have. Generally speaking, because the definition of being edgy is that it's the in thing right now, and that's going to change even quicker. And when you get those guys that were edgy when they were in their 20s and 30s, by the time they roll out to they're in their 60s and 70s, it's like they're not. A perfect example. It's like when I was a kid, obviously I followed things like the music and the pop culture and what was going on. And I don't know how to use Snapchat or any of that crap my kids do, and they're into it because I have other stuff going on. And I just think you can't live in that moment forever. And I think a lot of those guys, it's that thing where they might have done something really innovative and creative and changed things, but you can't be that person forever, I don't know.
Huh.
Well, Paul McCartney's still Paul McCartney, but he's not putting out stuff that's changed the world.
Now, see, what's funny about that, and I agree, but my son loves Paul McCartney, and he likes the new stuff more than the old stuff. And I'm like, how is that possible? It's like, he's like, I haven't been inundated with being told how great it all is. He's like, I like the Beatles stuff, but he's like, I'll take the stuff he's put out over the last. This is Max talking. He'll take the stuff he's put out over the last 5 albums over the last 5 years over the Wings stuff. And he's like, absolutely. And it's like, maybe it's just that perspective of not having.
That's
you know
okay.
what I mean? You know, everybody has their
Everybody
thing.
has their jam.
Okay.
I mean, I like the. I mean, it might sound sacrilege, but I grew up listening to the Wings stuff more than the Beatles stuff. That was my time period.
Well, I know
I like that music better than the Beatles almost.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting because this thing that I shared earlier. It's like with the Dead. I mean, Jerry Garcia was an iconic guitar player. And like when people heard that John Mayer was going to be playing with them. Like, some people, like, lost their mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hold on. I know he's a pop artist, and I don't dig the stuff that he does, but he's a hell of a guitar player.
Right.
I'm like, you gotta hold on for a second.
You gotta divorce yourself from that. Yeah.
And that thing that what it was with Jerry Garcia, Jerry's dead. It's done.
Yeah.
But if you like that kind of music, don't just hold on a second. Just give it a shot. And I've seen them, quite a few times. He's an amazing guitar player, and it fits really well, and it works just fine.
I would say with very few exceptions, I know every word of every Beatles song, almost. I mean, within reason. Yeah. You can't pull them up. And I mean, I'm a huge, huge fan and love them. And so I'm having this debate with him, and he's like, no, this stuff, I like it more. I was like, there's no way the stuff he's doing now is as good as the stuff he did then. And he said, you know all the stuff he did then. Do you know all the stuff he's doing now? I'm like, no. He's like, maybe it's because it's not in your face the way it was. Yeah. He's like, I'm not saying for sure it's better, but you don't know any of the songs, so to just assume that you think it's not as good, I was like, I mean, I guess. And he's playing it, and I've listened to it, and it's not as good. But, I mean, I've listened to it and have an informed opinion, and it's not as good.
I love that.
I don't want to get into the psychology of it, but I think all of us, things just wear on us. And I've said this many, many times, from the Beatles to Led Zeppelin to the Stones, all the biggest artists, The Who, Kiss. There's 4 or 5 great albums that they all put out. They went through a section. They didn't hit 2 here, 1 here, and then 5 later. They're all usually right together when they hit their absolute prime. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Yeah.
Of all of them, every one of the big groups. They started out like Led Zeppelin started out a blues-based rock band. Then about the 3rd album, they started becoming Led Zeppelin. They started leaving the blues behind and becoming what we know as Led Zeppelin. The Beatles were
Zeppelin
a rock
3.
and roll Chuck Berry type of wannabes, Everly Brothers, and then next thing you know, Rubber Soul and some of these other things come out and they become the Beatles. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kiss, all this. Van Halen, up to a certain point, they were incredible. Then after that, hit and miss. And Van Halen put that album out there a couple years ago. Terrible. Just terrible. In other words, you can't go home, and I think that's the same way with the comic books. Sometimes these people, they go through their Bernie Wrights, and at one time was untouchable. Then the Cult came out from Batman, and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
This does not look like,
Yeah.
It just wasn't my cup of tea. And since then, he's come out and did the cards and everything, some work, but he never really returned to the greatness.
I got a little music to touch upon on that with the good stuff versus the later stuff. Mm-hmm. And now, albeit it's a different singer, and like you say, when you bring someone in to replace somebody, the dyed-in-the-wool characters are going to lose their minds. But Alice in Chains, man.
Oh, yeah.
The newest album just dropped last Friday. Mm-hmm. It's called Rainy or Fog. He's not Lane, but damn, it's good.
Well, the thing is, with those guys, had they did an AC/DC and replaced Lane with Will, of course he wasn't around then.
Right.
If they would have brought him back in and just kept going, that would be a totally different situation.
Right.
When Soundgarden got back together, it was all 4 original guys.
Right.
Well, the bass player, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, might have.
With Ben. But yeah, they just picked up where they left off.
Well, I mean,
lose your singer, you got major problems.
I think all these people
unless
are
Phil
different.
Collins is your drummer, and then you're okay.
Yeah.
But I said they went boom, boom, straight to it. If they would have taken 10 years off and came back and said, oh, now our drummer's our singer, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
They all have unique style. I mean, it's it's a different style and thing like that. But as far as the chops go, I mean, I saw Garcia more times than I can count. and see John Mayer. I'm like, he's just a great guitar player.
Yep.
He's not the same person. He's never going to be.
There is not going to be.
Ludicrous.
This isn't
It's,
Grateful Dead.
it's ludicrous. They don't even call
1982,
themselves Grateful Dead anymore, and that's fine.
Right.
Well, I'm really happy about that because that's the way it should be. But they're playing songs that I love, that I'm familiar with. Not only that, he rejuvenated them to play shit that they haven't played for 30, 40 years. Like, hey, why don't you guys play? He said, why don't you play this song anymore? Oh, no. And he said, well, I'd like to do it. And he brought new life into him. Like, a lot of the fans are like, you're hearing a song you never got to hear.
I was reading a thing online. They were talking about how there was just this discussion about doing this Beatles tour, like this reunion tour, and Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr and Sean Lennon and Danny Harrison. And there's people in the comments bitching about that. It's like, you got Danny Harrison and Sean Lennon, and their fathers are dead. Like, if you're not going to be happy with this, what else do you need?
Well, the thing is, as long as you don't think you're seeing the Beatles.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw ELO. I have the shirt on. 13-piece band on there. Most people, and this is nitpicking, but ELO was only ever two people, Jeff Lynne and Bev Bevins. That was the only two original members. Everyone else in the band was hired hands and stuff. Most people don't, because when you see it, you see a 6-7-piece band on the album covers.
Sure.
There's only ever two official members to it. So I seen him last week, and of course Jeff Lynne's the only one there. Now he sang, wrote, arranged, produced. He is the sound of ELO.
Yeah,
pretty much.
13-piece band on there with 2 cellists and violin, 3 keyboard players, 3 guitar players, 2 backup singers, bass player and drummer, and they sounded perfect.
Yep.
Did I think I was seeing ELO? Not the same ELO from the 70s.
Right.
It was Jeff Lynne, and that's about as close as I'm going to get.
It's like I saw Paul McCartney, and his band is super tight, and he's been with them for 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they did, he did a show.
Oh, sure.
We saw him at
Incredible.
Verizon Center, whatever it's called this week. But at the Verizon Center, and he did 28 or 29 songs, and only 3 of them were.
Capitol Arena.
Yeah, the Capitol Arena. And only 3 of them weren't Beatles songs. They were Wings or whatever.
Right.
And he did 1 song from a new record. And my dad was with me, and he's like, I didn't see the Beatles, but I guarantee you this sounded better than it would have sounded had you gone to see the Beatles do it. There's no way it didn't. And I mean, it was all right on point. And every one of those guys are true technicians on the stage. All those hired guns he's got. That drummer's out of hand. And his lead guitar player's way out of hand.
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah.
And the keyboard,
Well,
sorry, I didn't mean to
no,
cut you off.
the technology too. I mean, the stuff.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Their equipment and the stuff that they play. Just watching that last weekend, I'm like, "What? It's amazing."
Well, and I forget the keyboard player's name, but he was his keyboard player in Wings. So I mean, he brought the
Yeah.
same guy, and that guy's sitting there playing the symphony part for Eleanor Rigby, and I mean, that's what it is. And they couldn't have done that back
You're not
then.
going to play with these legends and not be freaking great.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to somebody about Judas Priest. When they brought in Richie Faulkner, a buddy of mine said, "Well, what did you expect?" I mean, these guys, these guys have been around for a while. They're not going to get some hand bone off the street.
Yeah,
They're going to get some guy that really knows how to play guitar,
But
and he does.
Well, at the Capitol, when it was called the Capitol Center,
Yeah.
So Eric Clapton there, and it was like in '91, and Mark Knopfler was his guitar player. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't even, you know what's funny about that? They didn't even say, and Mark Knopfler on guitar.
Yeah.
They didn't bring it up the whole show, and then it was in the round, and then at the end when they left, they came back to do the encore, and they did Money for Nothing, and it was like that was how you kind of knew it was
Stevie
him.
Ray
Like, you didn't
Vaughan
know.
was Bowie's guitar player for a while.
Good stuff. Hey, is this a comic podcast? I forgot.
Well, we're just talking about
Hey, what
everybody's
we want to talk about.
talking about everybody's opinion.
If you don't like it, you can stop listening. If 2 of you give up, we'll be down to a
We
dozen.
did touch on it
We
earlier.
get along so well, we talk about whatever the heck we want.
Yeah. But we did that earlier, and I talked about what you could do without music, and
Yeah.
you can see where our passions
What
are.
was that one question? Did comics make the world a better place or something like that?
No, it said, how would the world be without
comics? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And
Well,
I
that
think
kind of touches upon that.
Yeah, but I think eventually to answer, because I thought about that question, my answer is eventually someone would have thought of comics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Someone would have thought with an wild imagination, hey, sort of like they did with Superman, considered the first superhero comic book, correct?
Well, it's
Yeah.
Action.
it's
number
written word with images. I mean, it's,
Sequential art and the whole
I
bit.
mean, what do you?
Yeah, I think
That's-
eventually it would have come to this point.
Well, not to go off in another direction, but that's somewhat similar question. I had read the other day was, is there anything? You hear all these bad things about social media and kids and their phones in their faces. Is there anything good about it? Like like to the individual. And it was this idea that like literacy has always been a big thing, and there are more people reading now every single day. I mean, obviously you're looking at things that are misspelled or this or that, but if you want to get along in society more than ever, if you got a phone, you need to know how to read. And I think there's probably more literate Americans now, even though they're probably dumb, generally speaking. The IQ level's gone down, but the ability to literally read letters in order and read words is probably higher now.
Well, to be the devil's advocate, I don't know if they're thinking. I know they're absorbing.
Right. They're literally just,
But
yeah.
I'm not gonna give them
I
too
didn't say
much
they were
credit.
thinking. I said they could read.
Yeah.
What they're reading is probably stupid.
But as Tim joked, the ongoing joke of it's on the internet, so it must be true.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It's like, I tell people all the time, it's whenever I hear opinions, the first question out of there, before we even get into the big debate, get the soapbox out.
Where'd you hear that?
It's like, what do you think?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
on a serious note.
Yeah.
Same with the comic books. We sit there and it's like, what did you think about the comic book? Tell me what you thought. Stuff. Not what did you hear? What did the critics say?
Right.
What's
your
What
opinion?
did Comics Review or Comic Book Resource or whatever, any of those why they said on there, it's like, what do you think?
What's your opinion?
That's always my thing, because guess what? They didn't buy that comic book for you. If you were getting free comic books and we actually reviewed comic
We'd have
books,
them all.
That's one thing as we've clarified a long time ago, we don't review comic books.
Right.
That's not what this is all about.
Talk about what we like or
we-
dislike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talk about comic books in general.
Or let people know main events that are going on in comic books. I mean, or what we perceive as.
Yeah, but I
Batman Day.
never get on a
September
comic book
15th.
web page and
Yeah.
anything. I never read.
I get
any
on.
forums.
I sometimes
nothing.
preview to see
I
what's
don't
coming
either.
out. Like
Nothing.
what comes out this
But they're-
week. I look at that every now and then. What's coming
Oh
out?
no, what's coming out, sure, but I never sit there and read people's opinions on albums or anything else. It's just
Make your
doesn't
own.
interest me.
Make your own opinion.
Diamond issues a report every week about what books are selling the most on the orders and grades of the top 20 books that are being released. And I look at that for no other reason than to know if something's starting to take a downslide or upslide, or
Sure.
if there's something I should know about.
Well,
But
that's
yeah,
good
Well, okay.
yeah,
That's
but I
good
agree with
business
you.
for
I
you,
don't
though.
do it just because I'm curious or
No.
like trying to get somebody else's opinion to fulfill my own.
That's
It's-
good business for you.
Yeah,
That's
it's just
smart.
it's research and development, or research, I should just say.
Well, okay. Let me put it this way: they list the top 100 comic books in every previews, right?
Yeah.
From like 2 months ago, whatever
Yeah.
it is. My favorite book, The Goon, has never made the. It's never
Sure.
never in the top 100. I'm sitting there going, "Am I an idiot? Am I reading a
Well-
book that doesn't even crack the top 100? That's terrible."
Yeah, but with all art, the more niche it is, I think the stronger it is. Generally speaking, the more it appeals to everybody, the less
Well, they always
soul it has.
they always joke. People's joke. I do what I want, and I think that's what some of my favorite artists do.
Yeah, that
Oh,
dude.
I'm certain mine do.
Because they could easily go and do
Mainstream.
mainstream books, and they're like, same with Eric Larson. I applaud him for 200 and some issues of The Dragon, because obviously he's not in the top 100.
He's definitely doing what he wants.
What's the name of that guy that hosts that show, Talking Dead? Did you ever watch that after Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Nick, what is his
You guys know who I'm
Comedian.
talking.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know who I'm talking about.
He's a comedian. He's also a comedian.
Yeah, he does a show. He was doing a show. It was called At Midnight.
Yeah, I've watched a couple.
Yeah, where they're doing
Jeff
the reviews.
Hardwick.
Jeff Hardwick.
That's it.
And they
Chris
do
Hardwick.
Chris Hardwick, and they do the
Nick, Chris, Jeff.
It was
It's
Bill
Chris
Hardwick. They had an episode, I guess, where they do the thing where you're supposed to send a tweet in, and it's like the question is, describe the Grammys in 5 words, and the winner was what money thinks music is. And I was like, that's a perfect analogy to that. That idea. It's like, oh, here's the top 100 comics. This is what appeals to the most people. So buy something that's not on this list if you really want to like reach out and be touched by something.
Well, don't get me wrong. I check out what is selling.
Sure.
But I'm sitting there going, when it's some big crossover, I'm like, I'm off the first exit of this freeway.
Yeah, me too. As a retailer, so am I.
I'm looking for a back row because this isn't where I'm going.
It's not going
I
to
know.
stop me from buying book because it's not in the top 100.
No,
Right.
Absolutely
Could
not.
care less.
Absolutely not.
It's not being informed is one thing, but is it going to influence me?
And I guess some of the readers, or listeners, whether they can or cannot actually be here in person. Like I said, I was very. I guess I got a little defensive and stuff when the person asked me, they accuse us of not keeping up with modern books. And I just think it's certain modern books, that we don't keep up with.
Well,
but I read a lot of stuff that I think the listeners would enjoy. They
Yeah.
just gave it a shot, but they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and as far as reviewing other books, there's about 10,000 podcasts out there, people that do that.
Yeah.
Well, and also and stuff, I think it was, I don't think I don't get too defensive, but I think it was more we're living in the past because I don't think that we mentioned Kirby today. Remember for a while
We didn't bring him up today.
Right, but I'm saying, we mentioned Ditko because of his passing, or Marie Severin because of these, what they meant to us. But I understand in today's realm, Marie didn't mean anything to the people that read. It's Max with Paul McCartney's, last 5 albums.
Yeah.
I threw Rusty.
When Marie's one of the Beatles, she's one of the Marvel bullpen.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Russ Heath got to meet him. He's a
Right.
he's a World War II veteran.
Right.
I mean, he was a legendary artist. I mean, it's
Right.
you told me about it. I was like, nobody just like he did so many things, did so many great things. Most people don't even know who he is.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're coming up on the close here. Was there anything else that we wanted to touch base on before we
Send some more questions.
Yeah,
We do it.
We do like questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny too, gang, because I literally just copy and paste the questions exactly as they're written, and
Yep.
so we get some colorful responses.
Yes, we
from
do.
time
Yeah,
to
we have to edit them down just a little.
We'll get to the one question we didn't get to is the Netflix. We'll get to that next time.
Yeah, and we do
And
like
we've talked about a lot about
and we do like chicks. I mean, I can speak.
I
for
dig
myself.
chicks.
I dig chicks. Yeah. Someone asked us, why don't we dig?
I'm married
chicks?
to one.
Like chick artists, like girl artists. Marie Severin. We just talked about her.
Yeah, and I never
Or just
remember her
chicks
name
in
of the lady
general.
that just
I
Sarah
said
Pacelli. does.
FF.
We didn't
Yep.
do that.
All right. Well, hopefully we don't make this another month before we come back and do another show.
Right.
But yeah, that was a good time. And guys, please send your questions. As you can see, we're doing this live. So if you're listening right now, you can start sending your questions right away. As soon as this ends, then it's immediately, because it's already saved, it's immediately thrown up there. So share it with your friends. If you think anybody might dig it, we would appreciate it very much. And one last plug real quick. The 15th of September is National Batman Day. And we're giving away a whole bunch of stuff. There's a special edition Batman White Knight comic that's coming for free. We'll be handing that out absolutely free, along with a bunch of other cool stuff. So thanks again. I'm George.